Everybody, welcome back to Mythgard in Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olsen, the Tolkien Professor, joined as always by my friend Gryfflet, who appears to be staging an intervention here. He's a little worried because given the look of this enormous pile of tankards here, Gryfflet's first thought was that this poor kid has been on a heck of a bender here recently, and times have been hard, in Rohan, so he was thinking, wow, that's quite a stack, really, alarmingly so. But I think in the end, they're probably just for sale, Gryfflet, so don't worry. The kid's okay. See, look at that. A little stretch there, and he's doing fine, so... Okay, anyway... here's Gryfflet still in the Trader's Outpost near Elfengels, which is where we were last time. So Gryfflet is ready for action again. Let's see. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Trying to remember what I'm doing here. So I'm supposed to talk to merchants and convince them to maintain their prices. That's right. Okay, I'm remembering now what I'm doing. All right, so let's look around. Here's a caravan merchant.
What business have you with the Rohirrim?
It's not too hard to notice that you've raised prices. Let's see. Have I seen the guards patrolling here? They are well paid for protecting us. Okay. I was hoping to be ready for this problem by earning more now, but I will lower my prices if he believes it's the proper action. Well, that's nice of you. Okay. Let's see. Are you one of the merchants?
The Rohirrim have need of your services.
I did well to make it to your encampment alive. Right. The roads grow more dangerous with each passing day, and Theoden King's response is to send fewer riders to protect them. Again, the undermining of Theoden's authority, really. Really interesting to put together the way in which we're seeing Wormtongue's plan. I mean, like, what exactly is Wormtongue up to? We get such a narrow glimpse of that in the book. And really interesting to see how they're playing that out on a broader scale, right? So you make him. And we talked about this with Sithric and Stanric back in Stangard, but to see here, that they totally blame Theoden, right, for sending fewer riders to protect folks. So makes him sound like he doesn't care, maybe incompetent, right? Yeah, Ethelhot asks if I recovered from my longest ever stream. Oh yeah, no problem. No, it was totally worth it. It was totally worth it. It was a little tiring, but I'm good. I was noticing I'd forgotten Gryfflet hasn't even been out since then. So this is Gryfflet's first post-marathon trip. Are we doing it again tomorrow? Well, yes, we are, actually. I was going to talk about that. Hang on, let me finish getting my quests, and then when I'm defeating orc ambushers south of the road to Elfengels, I'll be able to talk about this a little bit more. Okay, so, you want me to deal with the ambushers? Absolutely. I love dealing with orc ambushers. Meanwhile, let's see, there must be other merchants I can convince to lower their prices, such as this guy who also looks like he's consoling himself here.
Will you aid the horse lord?
They just seem to sell a lot of booze in this outpost. I guess that's also a kind of sign of the times here. Do I not deserve more coin for providing this service when I must risk my life to do so? Okay, look at that. They're all agreeing. That's encouraging. And then, Leodrim here.
The Rohirrim have need of your services.
In order to produce these items, I require a supply of wolf hides. You've been unable to secure materials. Alright, so you'll lower your price if I get you supplies for free. I see. Okay. Alright, so I've got those two quests then. Wolves and orcs. both in the same area, so that's lovely. And both working towards that orc camp, which I was longing to learn more about. And who's this? Skutog, the warband. What is Skutog, I wonder? I don't remember. Haglob up there is the big old troll, isn't it? I have memories of that. Anyway, okay. All right, so... all right. So let me tell you about tomorrow. So tomorrow is the finale of our fall fundraising campaign for Signum University, which I hope you have been able to, if you've not had your attention drawn to this before, I will draw your attention to it now. Signum University, of course, is a nonprofit university trying to change the world of higher education. If you got a chance to hear any of my... hang on a second. Is this wolf one of the ones I'm trying... I need to get? Will this do for me? Yes, it will. All right. I'll just do this from horseback. Why not? That'll be fun. Anyway, Signum University trying to change the world. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch my State of the University address, where I talk a little bit more about our plans in that regard and all the things that we're looking to be doing to make an impact on the higher education world in our upcoming plans, I recommend that to you as well. But anyway, Signum has been bringing lots of free broadcast, especially on Tolkien, but on other things as well, to people for years, and we are completely you can make a tax-deductible donation to Signum University, and whoa, I seem to have just stopped for some reason. When did that happen? Anyway, okay. Who's over there? Just orcs. Those are the ambushers. Oh, they're on foot. Fine, I'll dismount. Anyway, so... excellent. Tomorrow is our finale. The finale of the fall fundraising campaign. So what I'm going to be doing is a long broadcast. It's a marathon broadcast all afternoon, where I'll be doing a bunch of different things. I'll be doing different teaching segments. I'm going to do a segment on a couple obscure poems of Tolkien's, which are really fun, which he originally wrote back in his really wild, carefree, poetic period of the 20s, and then revised again much later on in his career. And I'll be looking at both of those versions of the poem. The poem, by the way, for those of you familiar with the Adventures of Tom Bombadil and Tolkien's poetry, is the Mewlips. That's the poem I'm going to be talking about. So anyway, I'll be talking about Tolkien's poetry. I'm going to be doing another session where I'm going to be discussing a TV show. And I currently have a Twitter poll out to decide which TV show I should talk about, all things I've watched in the last year. So the options are the classic Doctor Who, Stranger Things, Game of Thrones, and Babylon 5. Those are the four options. So if you go to my Twitter at TolkienProf, you can vote on one of those things. There it is. Druid's Fire just posted a link to it. So you can vote in the poll to help us decide which TV show I'm going to talk about tomorrow. And anyway, so there's going to be a bunch of things I'm going to be doing. We're going to have a live reading and an interview with a new fantasy author whom we are supporting at Signum, whom we're going to be, whose work we're going to be publishing actually this year, which is really exciting in audio form. Kay Ben Abraham, whose work, if you haven't heard her read her work, you totally should. She's really wonderful. So Anyway, there are going to be trivia contests and prizes, and we're going to do our drawings and things. So there's lots of opportunities still for lots of fun stuff. And at the end, I am going to do another Lotro stream. So I'm. It's not going to be a full marathon. Like, this is not going to be 14 hours worth of stream this time, I can promise, coming at the end of already having done other things for several hours. But it'll be, I'll be able to go for probably 3 hours or so. I was thinking of going back with Wigand and doing the sort of, we got right to the end of the Battle of Pelennor Field at my super long stream a couple weeks ago. Anyway, I'm gonna be doing, yeah, so that was my first plan to do. I could do other things if you guys wanted me to. If there was a strong movement for me to do something else, I'd be happy to listen to suggestions there. Okay, let's see how many ambushers we're doing. Pretty well here. Yeah, so that's going to start. And now, these marathons are a little... these marathons are always a little uncertain as to when exactly I'm going to transition from one thing to the next. But, ooh, I almost one-shotted that guy. That was awesome. But I'm looking... The current trajectory, or let me say the initial trajectory, is that I will start at the Lotro stream at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, that's tomorrow, Saturday the 19th of October, is the plan. Oh, you want me to do the Stout Axe thing? Okay, and all right, and so I don't know. I know very little about. What do you call it? About the Durin's Day thing. I know I missed it last year. I remember you guys wanting me to do it last year, and I couldn't do it last year. I was just not available for various connubial reasons, was not able to attend the Durin's Day thing last year. So I know I missed it last year. And I have to admit, I don't really know anything about it at all. Like, I don't really know what it's about exactly. But I'm interested to learn about it. Okay, so I could do the Stout Axe intro, if that's what you want me to do. I mean, of course, I can do more than one thing. I mean, I will have about 3 hours. So I can probably do more than one thing during that time. All right. Yeah, so I mean, I could do if that's going to be going on tomorrow, the Durin's Day thing, and somebody just wants to summon me to Erebor. Wigand has no objection to being summoned to Erebor as long as I'm in a place where I can get back to where I was. That would be fine. Yeah, Wigand is what, 103 now? 104? Something like that? Wigand is moving up in the world. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's enough ambushers. I still need a couple more wolf pelts, though. All right. We'll keep looking. Oh, you thought I needed to be 105 to get summoned? Not sure. If I have to make the run up, it'll take a little bit longer. Doubtless. No, that's not who I'm looking for. Nor is that. Let's see. as usual, when I want them, the wolves disappear. There they are. Yeah, these wolves are yellow to me, and yet I'm still almost one-shotting them. That's pretty good. Boom. Okay, I didn't come quite as close to one-shotting that guy. Okay, all right. Well, let's try that then. Happy to do that. If you guys want me to do that, and you want me to do the Stout Axe intro thing, I could start with that, and then shift to Wigand after. Ooh, what is that? The ancient tomb. Oh ho. Got the swirlies there on the keystone, and it's not quite a Gryffindor, but it's clearly from the same period. Oh, man. Oh, you want me to do Durin's Day first because... well, my only question about that... Okay, here's my only question. My only question about getting summoned away. So if you remember where I was... Those of you who watched my Wigan stream, remember where I was right after the battle when I'm talking to the folks that survived, and everyone is like still mourning and lamenting out in the field, like out in front of the gates. So it's a separate area there. Right. I can get back there through a horse to inside post battle Minas Tirith. Right. I remember that. Can I get back to there though? Back to that area because I need to make sure that I can finish that place. Okay, so as long as I can easily get back to there, that's the one thing. When the last time I was looking around there, I'm like, okay, I see the horse out of here. Is it going to be easy for me to get back to here? But if I can get back to there without a problem, then I can just, Wigan should have a milestone in Minas Tirith. If not, I can make one, and then I can just milestone back. So that'll be easy. Okay, sure, yeah. So we'll do that at the beginning. Okay, great. Good, I can go between all the versions of the battle. Cool. Neat. Then I will plan to do Durin's Day first, and then I can do the Stout Axes, and then I can come back and do some more of Wigan to the post battle stuff for as long as we like, as long as I can. Okay, good. Sounds like a plan. Now, what is this place? How did I miss this place? I'm pretty sure there are no quests that are going to bring me here. I say that with some confidence, unless I just totally missed them before, because I did a completionist, one of my alts on a completionist through this area. Maybe I'm just forgetting. It is quite possible. Hang on, there were a couple wolves over here. Let me just polish them off. Then I'll be done with that. So, I will get sent to the tomb on a quest. If so, I'll wait. Oh, wow. That was easy. Good job, Gryfflet. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, the secret tomb. That is fantastic. So, as long as I'll get sent here on a quest, then I'll keep going. And you guys can make sure... I get quests inside. See, I didn't think I got sent. I was pretty sure I did all the quests around here. All right, I'll just go inside then. All right. Let's do this. The ancient Norcroft's tomb. Oh, man. Woohoo. Exploring the ancient tomb. Boy, was there ever a quest that, is better suited for Gryfflet than that. A tomb of the men of Gondor from the Second Age. Has been revealed in a secluded area of the Norcrofts. It is unknown what treasures or dangers may lie within. The greatest discoveries are often hidden at the bottom of such ancient tombs, waiting for some adventurers to come and seek them out. Excellent. Oh, this is totally unexpected to me. I don't know how I did not find this before. Okay, so you're telling me, O quest text, that these swirlies are Second Age. That I can believe. You know, so that time in the Second Age when the lot of men in Middle-earth was unhappy, and especially here, where we're still, you know, so near to the dominion of Sauron, that was when we had men building tombs containing monoliths with swirly shapes on them, like we first saw at the Barrow Downs in Bree. Looking at these posts. Oh, look, a Gryffindor. Oh, it's the first thing we see. Almost the first thing we see down here. Okay. Right, and that sort of insignia, that four-way curly Q insignia. And the pillars. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is just vintage right here. Notice what we haven't seen yet. Any urns. No urns, which, as I was postulating, were of a later time. Ooh, a corpse. Hey there. Yeah. Oh, and you're still wearing your armor. That's adorable. Hang on, I want to get a better angle at your helmet. Is there anything, any insignia on the front? You've got bracers and maybe a chest. Oh, there's an urn. Okay, there is an urn. Right, the horseman urn in black, not the red as we've seen it elsewhere. Okay, so this is looking, and there are some of the baby skulls. Great. Oh, hold on. What is that? Is that the same guy? Yes, it is. So it's just from a different angle that I hadn't seen it before. Okay. And curtains. Look at this, got drapes. Did we see drapes before? I don't remember drapes. Oh, wow. Oh, this is cool. Is that a rune behind the body? Oh, that. So, no? Yes? It's one of those rocks with metal bands on it, like this one over here, which we've sometimes seen standing out as, like, markers of some kind, but we haven't seen... It's a little unusual, to me anyway, to see it there, like, within an alcove behind the body. Okay. So this is fitting the general pattern that we've seen in a lot of these Rohan old tombs, where we're seeing the ancient peoples with some evidence, potentially, of later interventions. It does look like there seems less here than in, say, the one up by what's it called, Harwick. Where we saw much more of the urns, and right out in front where it looked like there were, later generations of Third Age folks, possibly Dunlending, ancient Dunlending, who had used this as well. But this, of course, way predates, anyone who would have called themselves Dunlending. So yes, Ethelwald, when it says the men of Gondor, totally the pre-Numenorian guys, absolutely. These would have been like the natives of Calanarthon, long before. Saying men of Gondor is a little bit... Gondor obviously didn't exist as a place until the Third Age. Gondor really is established by Elendil and his sons. But, the area, again, by men of Gondor, I take it as being the ancestors of the people of Calanarthon, who became part of Gondor, just like the people of the White Mountains and the people of Lebanon and everybody came. Now, so Brandywise, you're thinking that Second Age in this context is post the fall of Numenor when Elendil came to settle in Middle-earth? That's possible. Gondor was established in the Second Age. The Third Age officially begins with the fall of Sauron in the War of the Last Alliance, so there is that time, I am accustomed to kind of thinking of the Second Age as like the Númenórean period. So, that time at the end of the Second Age. But again, this tomb can't have been built then, right? And so when we're talking about men of Gondor in the Second Age who built this tomb, I really strongly doubt that this was only built in that time after the fall of Númenor. Because, you're talking about, 99% of the Second Age happened pre-Gondor, essentially. And there's a really narrow period of time in there, especially since that time, the Gondor as a realm isn't really fully established. I mean, it's founded, but it's not really fully established until as a really a going thing until after the battle. There's only a handful of years, certainly compared to the 3,000 year span of the age that belongs to that post fall of Númenor, pre War of the Last Alliance era. Because remember, Gondor is made up, the majority of Gondor is made up of like indigenous peoples, right? Who swore allegiance to the Númenórean kings of Gondor. Remember, the total number of Númenóreans who came to Gondor is quite small. Now, they sailed, Elendil and his sons and the others sailed in the 9 ships. But it's more than 9 shiploads of people, because they did have, down by Umbar, the faithful did have settlements there as well. But again, we're talking about, at most, the population of like one small city, essentially, and all of Gondor. Is under the under the rule of the Númenóreans in Gondor. This distinction, this sort of the distinction between the ruling Númenórean class of Gondor and the other the other peoples who made up the peoples of Gondor. This is that was a distinction that was really actually much sharper in Tolkien's mind back at the beginning, when he first started writing about Gondor, when he first invented essentially the Númenórean kingdom there. Because in the very first drafts of the Lord of the Rings, like in the very first draft of the Council of Elrond, what comes out is that there's no Númenórean king in Gondor anymore, because the rest of the people of Gondor, the rest of the people of Minas Tirith, kicked them out. Like, the Númenóreans were exiled from Gondor, and that's how the North Kingdom began, according to this early version of the story, right? So that distinction between like the majority population who are not Númenóreans and the Númenóreans who come in and are accepted as kings and rulers of the larger people of Gondor is a big was a major factor in Tolkien's early thinking that kind of diminished, and that's certainly the idea of them getting kicked out. He moved away from that idea entirely. But it does show you. I know that when I was, I don't know, with the first 10 times I read The Lord of the Rings when I was younger, I used to imagine the people of Gondor were like all Númenóreans, or like all of them were descendants of Númenóreans. And it's really not true. Like, that's clearly not true at all. And this appears to be especially true. Okay, let me clarify my syntax here. The Númenórean strain, like blood strain, genetic strain, right, in Gondor, seems strongest in the major cities, right? Like Minas Tirith really being the only one that's left. Whereas in the outlying provinces, like, Lebanon and, out down in Belfalest down in the south, in Calenarthen back in the old days, right? That was much, much less. Less to, like, practically non-existent, frankly. They still, owe their loyalty and allegiance to Gondor. They still hold true to their old allegiance to Gondor, as a nation and to its rulers, but they are not themselves of Númenorian stock at all. So the people of Calenarthon, way up here, would have been a very clear example of that kind of thing. And my understanding, so this is an issue, when it comes to Dunland, and we talked about this a little bit back when Gryfflet was in Dunland for quite a while. One of the questions that it's easy to have, and one of the things that, people get kind of a little uncomfortable with, right, is what exactly was the fate of the Dunlendings? We don't like to think about the Rohirrim as imperialists, basically having come in and, kicked the Dunlendings out of their rightful lands. That's the Dunlending story, right? And the Rohirrim don't really talk about it much. The only thing that's said about it in Appendix A, when Calenarthon is gifted by Cirion to Eorl the Young, is that it had for long been sparsely peopled, right? So one way of reading that is that basically the people of Calenarthon, this was a Gondorian province, right? So the sort of, and it was being lived in by its indigenous peoples, right? That it was, so you've got like the indigenous people of Calenarthon who swore allegiance to Gondor, right? But they had been dwindling. So that when he says that area had for long been sparsely peopled, that seems to be what he's referring to, right? To the sort of the native Calenarthians, essentially. And so so they weren't being displaced. Like the native peoples who had sworn their allegiance to Gondor weren't being displaced. The Dunlendings do seem to have been, right? So does that mean that the Dunlendings, one way to read the history of there, right, is that the Dunlendings were like interlopers, right? They had been themselves like invaders into the territory of the native Calenarthians, right? Who were affiliated with Gondor and had been for thousands of years. And so they were driven out when the Rohirrim came. So so here's Cirion, right? Who's basically killing two birds with one stone, right? He's got Calenarthon, which he's losing control of, and the people who are loyal to him and faithful to him are losing their lands, right? They are being driven out by the Dunlendings. So then he says to Eorl the Young, hey, I give you this land, you can rule it. And of course they then displace the Dunlendings who had been coming in, but they don't necessarily displace the ancient Calenarthians, those few who did remain, some of whom might have chose to stay in Rohan and live under the rule of Eorl the Young, some of which maybe decided to, move into other parts of Gondor, I don't know. But that seems to have been very likely a sort of a peaceful transition between the Gondorian Calenarthans and the Rohirrim. Do I think this means that Calenarthon was the ancestral land of the Dunlendings? I don't think so. I think the evidence is against that, honestly. There's not much evidence, but what evidence Tolkien has given for it seems to be against that, because the natives of this area, right, are the people who had sworn their fealty to Gondor. I cannot imagine. I think that it is very much in contradiction to what Tolkien has written in this story, that it was those people who were the Dunlendings, right, who got kicked out of their ancestral land. So, the grievance of the Dunlendings is, of course, in a sense, very real. Like, they had moved into that land, right, which had been sparsely peopled, right, as they admit. As Tolkien admits, they had been moving into that land and then they got booted out of it, right, when the Rohirrim came in. So it's not that their grievance is wholly imaginary, but again, I think if we imagine Rohan being like the ancestral land for thousands of years previous to the Dunlendings, and they are driven off their ancestral lands by the Rohirrim, that I don't think is supported by the text. Yeah. Anyway, good. Yes. So yes, good. Just to affirm, I see several people have answered this already. Yes, the sorry, what am I doing here? Yes, the stewards are in fact related to. So when Faramir and Denethor are certainly of Númenórean blood, right? Absolutely. But the steward, so yeah, Mardil the steward is of the house of the kings there in Gondor. I mean, I don't think we know anything of Mardil's lineage before him, right? But it's very clear that he's Númenórean. That's explicit from Gandalf, right? That the blood of Númenor runs almost true in Denethor and in Faramir, right? We know that they are of Númenórean descent. Okay, so I wasn't planning a long historical digression, but am I ever? Where am I looking? There I am. Okay. Bloody mouse. So let's see. An ancient tomb white and a what? A decaying tomb white. Oh, how unpleasant. Okay. No problem. Oh! A one-shotted tomb white is what we have. I think so. That'll teach you. Let's see. So what have we got here? Purging the ancient crypt. Purging the tomb of these hostile intruders will help restore peace to this once tranquil Gondorian crypt. You're right, JJ. The history can't possibly be that complex because everybody knows that Tolkien's works are completely black and white, with every people group being completely good or completely evil. Yeah, that's true. I had almost forgotten that. I do sometimes forget that. Oh, I love this one. The door with the skeleton behind it, like, hey, let me out. Yeah, no, you can stay. Okay, yeah, so we're still calling this a Gondorian tomb. Again, I have to think that it is Gondorian in the sense of being built by people who later on were, identified. Whoa. Oh, yeah, I do have a quest for these guys. Okay. All right, one-shotting the rat, a little bit less impressive. Okay. Ooh. Whoa. A quadruple decker. Look at the ceiling and the moving lights on the ceilings. Wow. Where is that coming from? Let's see. What do we have here? We got a bunch of tomb whites. This one has a bow, so I'll kill him first. There we go. All right. Okay, it looks like I'm going to have a lot of slaying to do in here. Oh, man, this was what a grandiose tomb. And all of those walls are like individually laid stones. Would you look at that? This isn't carved out of the cliff face, which is enough work, goodness knows. Those are laid blocks. That's amazing. It's like an enormous stone wall. Whew. Okay, I will I'll go to my lore question store here. Okay, Epic Uger was asking before, is there such a thing as a dwarf burglar in the lore? Well, no okay, let me think. Let me think about this a little bit more. So, first of all, the burglar concept is a very Hobbit thing, and I don't mean like specific to the race of hobbits. I mean the book The Hobbit. The idea of like having a burglar and in your party and being a burglar is sort of part of the kind of lighthearted, sort of fairy tale adventure that The Hobbit was. So things like, the Silmarillion kind of lore don't really contain much in the way of references to that kind of thing. I'm trying to think if there's any evidence of like any sort of burglarious activity among the dwarves, and I can't. No. They are associated with being merchants and being sort of. Wow, this is so impressive. I can't remember where I've seen these ancient guys building this tall. This is really great. Oh man, this place is huge. Yeah, so again, we get so few dwarf stories, like actual stories. It is apart from The Hobbit. Yeah, if you take out The Hobbit... Okay, so thinking back chronologically. Chronologically in Tolkien's work, there were dwarves in the early Silmarillion tradition. But... Nice. That's so impressive, Gryfflet. There were dwarves, but yeah, exactly. Meme and the Nargothrond horde, that was kind of the dwarf thing. Think about dwarves in Norse mythology, okay? So people like, Meme, essentially. You've got the occasional dwarf who comes in who's like a smith or he's associated with treasure. There's not like a strong sort of world building effort with like the dwarves of Norse mythology. Like they're just sort of there. They're sort of more incidental characters. Tolkien's dwarves are much more like that. Than they are like the kind of thing that we sort of expect after the Lord of the Rings, the kind of world building that we come to expect of Tolkien, right? And just kind of collecting diseased tomb rats here. Great. Look. Alright. How many do we have still? Oh, I still got a bunch of everything still to do. Great. So, what was I talking about? Completely forgetting. Oh yeah, dwarves. So he has... sort of scattered dwarves like that. That's the role that they play. They're primarily, in the early Silmarillion tradition, they're primarily merchants. They don't even make things. They're not even smiths at first. Then, oh, sorry, there were two of them, I guess. yeah, they're primarily merchants and not very trustworthy. They were evil at the beginning. They were like orcs. They were spawn of Milko, and then afterwards he was like not quite sure about that anymore. But he decided that still they were like pretty deeply untrustworthy, and basically that didn't change. Dwarves didn't even get a chance sort of to be good guys at all in Tolkien's world until The Hobbit. And when the dwarves show up at Bag End, I mean, if you think about this in the context of Tolkien's writing, right? The dwarves showing up in Bag End is pretty darn surprising. And it represents a serious shift in Tolkien's writing. John Ratliff in The History of the Hobbit says that, it would, in the context of what Tolkien had already written, it would scarcely be more surprising. A party of dwarves showing up at Bilbo's door would scarcely be more surprising than if like a party of like goblin wolf riders had shown up at his door. That strikes me honestly as a little bit of an exaggeration. Dwarves are never really quite so bad as that, and he'd already been doing like a little bit of not exactly rehabilitation, but something like that. With the dwarves, they'd already been shifting a little bit, so I don't think it's, again, it strikes me as slightly exaggerated, but nevertheless, the point still remains, it's very unexpected. After that, though, they become better integrated. But for this reason, this is why, I said before, there's so few stories about dwarves. We learn so little about dwarves, especially in the Silmarillion tradition. And that's because they weren't part of the original schema. I mean, they're like an add-on. And so there are some details that get added. Like if you know the Silmarillion, you may remember that wonderful scene in the Dagor Bragalach when Azakal the dwarf is the king of the dwarves stabs Glaurung and then is kind of taken out of the field by the dwarves chanting their funeral dirge. That's like really cool, but that's a late addition. Dwarves weren't that cool originally. So even back, even at that point, he was having to do a lot of backfill in order to like give any kind of cool roles to dwarves. In fact, really the best dwarf stories that we get outside of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, of course, what we learn from and through Gimli, the best material we have is in Appendix A, the stuff on Durin's folk there. So, we get very, very little. So we have few dwarf anecdotes. We have few... I think I'm done with... Oh, well, yeah. I was done, but then he spotted me. Okay. Yeah. So everyone who loves dwarves wishes we had more dwarf stuff to go on, but we really just don't. It's one of the reasons why the Lotro guys have a pretty clear field when it comes to dwarf history and dwarf culture subcreation and stuff. Oh, with these gates with the skull on and look at that keyhole. And are those like a network of branches or vines around it? Oh, it's growing right through the eye socket. It's cool. This looks later, apart from the fact that it's much crisper. This looks like a later gate that's been put up years down the road. And I can't get through it. Oh yes, Ethelot, absolutely. That Golfimble, the goblin, whose head gets lobbed off by Ben Oberstook, was originally named Fingolfin. Yeah, because it has the golf element in it, right? You can do the golf joke, so it works. Why is there a red dot here? I can't get through this gate. I don't see anybody here. Is that a mistake? Weird. Okay. All right. Just got some rats. Don't need any more rats. Good with rats. Ooh. Okay. Hangings. Are those like lichen? Or some kind of moss? Hanging moss? That's interesting. And now we're entirely rough-hewn. Apart from the wooden platforms. Who's been building down here? Oh. Glowing fungus? Oh, this is a nifty little cave in here. Look at that. Well, that is gorgeous. Oh, it doesn't go all the way down. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so unfortunately, so no, I know of no dwarf burglar activities that I can think of. But at the same time, as I say, we know so little. So let me just say, I don't think that a dwarf burglar, it doesn't strike me as particularly unlikely. I mean, dwarves are A, greedy for treasure, and B, you know, rather untrustworthy lots. So, oh, whoa, back upstairs now? Oh, wait, hang on. I still do need another tomb white. Excuse me. Oh, darn it, I missed you. You stopped unexpectedly, and I walked right through you. That's awkward at the best of times. Okay. Let me do another question. Let's see. The telepathy question. Let's talk about that. So, Funkadelica91 had asked, in the books on their homeward journey, Elrond, Galadriel, and Gandalf seem to converse by looking into each other's minds. Is this a trait only the wise possessed, or would it be safe to assume ordinary elves could converse in the same way? Great question. I don't think it's normal. I think it would be a mistake to believe that that's just like a general elf trait. Hey there, Ancient Tomb White. This is a big old set of spiral stairs. Where are we going here? Anyway, yeah. So no, I don't think that all elves can do it. But we do have. But I don't. So one, there are a couple things that they have in common, right? That is those whom we see doing this. Elrond, Galadriel, and Gandalf are not just among the wise. They are also the wielders of the three elvish rings, right? So that's kind of a oops, I just unstealthed myself. That was very cunning. It's kind of a confounding variable, right? When trying to really parse that and figure out what's supposed to be going on there. Right, I only need one left, so I'm sure someone's going to spot me before long. Well, all right, so I came all the way up those stairs. Well, see? I knew I'd get spotted. Okay, let's see. I did defeat many of the hostile people. That is so true. Okay, and I'm still exploring the depths. Does that rule out way up here where I've come? Nope, and back down we go. No! Oh, it was a feint. We're still going up. Well, if I get spotted this often, it's going to be a long trip. Okay, all right, there we go. So yes, it could be a Dwellers of Valinor trait. It is... No, it can't be, because Elrond has never been to Valinor. So, there is good reason to think that this is not just a Rings of Power thing, however. That some of the Elven Wise can do this. In particular, in the Silmarillion, when Finrod discovers the men of Hildorian for the first time, well, not like in Hildorian, but when he meets men, he's able to discern their thoughts and communicate with them sort of, at least kind of semi-telepathically. So it does seem to be this ability to read the thoughts in the minds of others, which I think is like partly what's... Hey, I recognize this place. Okay, so I came back around to there. So let me... Oops, that's just not what I'm looking for. Okay. Well, good. I thought I was gonna have to circle back and explore that door, but no problem. Okay. So let me come back through all these rats I've killed before. To all the rats I've killed before. Yeah, so okay. Anyway, so I do think that there is evidence of that that kind of... And so, oops. Hi. So you think it's the aura? If I stay further away from them, will it help? Perhaps it will. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, here's the final point that I want to make about telepathy before I interrupt myself again. The final point I want to make about telepathy is that I think it is less a question of projecting your thoughts into someone else's head, right? So it's not primarily about sending words into someone else's mind. I think what it is more a matter of... Hey, I'll go this way this time. I think what it is more a matter of is reading the thoughts of others. We see Gandalf says that he does this to Frodo, right? Ooh. Can I go through the waterfall? Yes. Nice. Aha. And this gets me behind that gate, right? I think so. Yeah. So that's a thing that we see many times. This is explicitly what we see Finrod doing with the mortal men. He can read their mind, and so therefore, and he's able to communicate to them because he's able to kind of basically pick up bits of their language just from their minds, right, from their thoughts. So, and I think it's significant that, do we have any evidence without a Palantir? Do we have any evidence of anybody This place is unbelievably huge. Really quite remarkably huge. Yeah, do we have any evidence of anybody communicating telepathically over a distance? I think not. Yeah, I think we don't. The only time I believe we see it happening as Galadriel's testing of their hearts, as the communication among the communication among the three wise there on the way out through Dunland, the reading of Frodo's thought by Gandalf, Finrod and the men. With everybody, it seems to be oh, come on, seriously. It seems to be local. Yeah, Glaurung is an interesting question, Matt. Darn it! That is really and truly vexing. It's going to take me forever if I've got to actually fight every single set of stupid wights I come across. Yeah, it is tough to gauge the distances used by the dragon. I mean, it seems clear that he's pretty close to, you know, to Ninio, right? To Nienor. Okay, I've been here, haven't I? This is... Well, at least I can still sneak by bats, which is ironic, really, because I really shouldn't be able to sneak past bats. Yeah, okay, that's where I thought I was. All right, well, let's go back down. So I have to admit that exploring the depths of the ancient tomb has been slightly less rewarding than I would have hoped. Only in this, I mean, it's a lovely tomb. I'm quite enjoying it, but only in the sense that there doesn't seem to be anywhere to get to. This glowing cave is really cool, but it looks like there's no exits here or anywhere to go or anything to do. I'm hoping for some payoff from this quest line here. Yeah. No, it's okay. No. As long as I know there's a payoff, I'm willing to persevere. That's all. I don't need spoilers. Okay. All right. Okay, I went up that way. Ooh, a mist on the floor, too. That's lovely. Okay, this place is new. The closest thing I can think of to I'm continuing to think through here about, you know, boy, Gryfflet, what went wrong with attacking that tomb wight? You've been one-shotting him, and that was pitiful. Yeah, anyway, the closest that I can think of to somebody using telepathy to sort of push their thoughts into someone else's mind is Galadriel with her testing of the company. Okay, looks like we've got another passage up there to the left. Let me check the ground level. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Okay. Oh, wait. This connects back. That's good. Oh. Darn it. Dude. Phil, great question about, yes, good. Gandalf, when Frodo is on Amon Hen, that is the closest we get to long-distance telepathy. Oh. Right, waterfall up over that way. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, Amon Hen is interesting. There, this is just going to take me back up to the... Oh. No. Is it because their aura is damaging to me? And so that's what takes me out of stealth? That is really annoying. I cannot even appropriately describe how annoying that is. I am... Okay. What is that? A wooden chest? I just come across a chest. Seriously, I was just coming across a chest. Well, exactly, Matt. That's just what I was thinking. That basically Amon Hen itself is kind of a confounding variable there. Because there is clearly magic in the... Oh, okay. There's clearly magic in the seat of Amon Hen, which enables the mind to reach out. So is Frodo in some sense, and particularly his location there on Amon Hen, is that what enables that contact with Gandalf from afar. Okay, and we're back at this intersection again. All right, no problem. This should take me back into that near the top of the glowy fungus room. Yeah. Now I'll go back, and I'll go back through the waterfall, and I'll go the way to the left. We're getting there. See here, while I try to simultaneously answer lore questions and perform my normal systematic dungeon crawl methods. Okay. Yes. Yeah, so as I say, Gandalf and Amon Hen is a pretty good example, but see, I really think that Amon Hen has a lot to do with it. Mostly because you've got to think, if Gandalf is capable of just doing that, you know, I mean, obviously it takes a lot out of Gandalf. I mean, he describes that it took a lot out of him to do that. So it's not like it was trivial at the time. But still, it isn't that it was trivial at the time, but still you've got to think, if he could do that, like routinely, if that's easy for him, then he would have done it more often, right? I mean, there were a bunch of occasions, like from the top of Orthanc, he'd have done it, right? At least from Rivendell, when, you know, everyone was still hunting for Frodo in the ring before the flight to the fort. I mean, you know, there's, and again, you can say, well, maybe it's only Gandalf 2.0 who has this ability, you know, this wasn't something that was doable for Gandalf the Grey, conceivably. But I still tend not to think that. Now, I know that Amon Hen is the seat of seeing and not the sight of hearing, JJ, and that's true. But at the same time, I cannot help but think, oh, look, it's the place of bats. It's just a bat room. Same bat room, same bat chest. Ooh, a sarcophagus. Ooh, an upright dude. Hey, whose helmet I can see much better from this angle. Doesn't that thing on his brow looks kind of Gondorian, right? I mean, like later Gondorian. That's interesting. Rings on his cold fingers, yeah. Okay, no problem. Yep, we're doing fine. Systematic. That's what I do. Okay. Why do I get almost completely past them, and then I mean, like, they have a very strangely shaped aura. I mean, I was already around that guy and down the stairs before the damage kicked in. Weird. So yeah. Telepathy is definitely possible for elves. I mean, it's definitely within the world of Tolkien, but it's very unusual. And I think that we have very little warrant to imagine elves. Woohoo! I did it. I explored the ancient tomb. And this room has a lot of Gryffindors on it. Oh, lots of Gryffindors. More Gryffindors. This is like... It's like... This high room you could almost call Gryffindor Tower. Because of all of the Gryffindors it contains. Woohoo! Oh, a pestilent tomb wight. With wings. Artificial wings. Oh, those are great. Hang on. Can I just see? Oh, man. That is so cool. Did you make those yourself? I mean, they only look like they were wings made by somebody with a very passing familiarity with what wings should look like. Or maybe they're not wings. Maybe they're banners. Maybe they're... I don't know. How about I do some morale potions and stuff? I should probably stop looking at him and actually kill him, you know, in a kind of a focused way, I suppose. There we go. But he had wings. There we go. Well, that was fun. Woohoo. Yes, Ethelwad, I've watched all of the modern Doctor Who. Wow. I say all of the modern Doctor Who. I've watched through Capaldi. Let me be more specific. I've watched everything that's on Amazon Prime. Like everything that is included in Amazon Prime. I haven't paid for any of it. Separately, I mean. So that means I have not yet seen I have not yet seen the new season. I haven't seen the what is it now? The 13th Doctor? I still have not seen the 13th Doctor. Jodie Whittaker, exactly. Have not seen that yet. But I've seen everything up to, but not including Peter Capaldi's, last episode. So who's my favorite Doctor? Smith. I like Matt Smith. A lot of the David Tennant episodes are really, really good. This was not exactly my intention. If there's a White Deed Slayer for this area, is there? Yeah, Slayer Deeds. Now that's something Gryfflet hasn't done a whole lot of. Ancient Evil Slayer of the Eastham Net. Oh yeah, look at that. In fact, I'm only 3 shy. I'm about to hit it. So right you are, Phil. Yeah, I mean, I really like Tom Baker as well. Tom Baker is my favorite of the old Doctors. I mean, that's kind of, it's not even fair. You know, I always have to say when I ask, anyone who is their favorite of the classic Doctor, it's almost like you have to say like, well, I mean, like, except Tom Baker, right? Like, who's your favorite non-Tom Baker classic Doctor? And mine in that category, in the non-Tom Baker early Doctor category, my favorite would be Sylvester McCoy. I really liked him from his very first episode. I loathed Colin Baker. What's his name? Davidson kind of grew on me. Okay. No, not what I meant. Did I even go down here? Yeah, well, it's okay. I'll just go this way. I like Troughton. Well, I liked Troughton at first, and then he got annoying at the end. He started, like, whining all the time, which I really didn't like. The third one, Pertwee, John Pertwee, took a while to grow on me. He finally did. I disliked him for his first season or so, but then he grew on me after that. Yeah, so I did end up liking Pertwee, but yeah, McCoy was really my favorite. Let's see. So from here... I'm really almost tempted to just kite them all from here. But not quite yet. Oh, or I could one-shot the lot of them. Your first Doctor was Matt Smith in The Day of the Doctor? Wow. Wow. I was strictly forbidden to watch The Day of the Doctor until I'd gotten there. And I enjoyed it much more after watching all the classic Who. Because needless to say, when I finished watching the classic Who, I had to watch all the new Who again. Like you do. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed David Tennant's Doctor, but I did like Matt Smith. He was my favorite. Boy, this is quite a crowd. Boy, if I get killed by bats and rats at the end of the day, that's going to be super embarrassing. Oh, good. I avoided that embarrassing fate. Okay. All right. We're almost out of the ancient tomb. Holy cow, it's late. I'll have to go back and turn in those first quests that I got. I had no idea this thing was here. I really didn't. That's it, I'm running. Can I make it? That's the exit, isn't it? I think I got it. Oh, yeah. I'm going to leave this tomb like Indiana Jones would. Woohoo! Anybody going to come pouring out of the gates after me? Okay, fine. Excellent. I like Christopher Eccleston. In fact, Matt, funny story. So my wife and I started watching the new Who together. And she and I both really, really liked Eccleston. And actually, she quit. Like, she couldn't handle it. You know, it was the first time either one of us had ever watched Doctor Who. And, you know, like, when you start with Doctor Who, it takes a while to, like, your first change is a hard one. You know, it takes a long time to get adjusted to a new Doctor. And my wife could never do it. Like, she could never stick with David Tennant because she liked Christopher Eccleston so much. She just, like, she refused. She's like, no, I can't. And I'm like, okay, all right, I understand. I mean, I persevered because I had to persevere, and it was worth it. And I've, sort of come back, and I'm like, really, it gets really good, but
Our mission is dire.
And it's like, I mean, like, oh my goodness, Peter Capaldi took a long time to grow on me. Not quite as long as John Pertwee, but almost. But anyway, what we really liked, both of us really liked about Christopher Eccleston is on the one hand, there was the anger and the tragedy, right? Which was totally new at that point. But at the same time, there was this, like, delight, the kind of delight that he had in, like, almost everything. Whether it be like some disaster about to occur, some danger they were going to be in, that smile that Christopher Eccleston does when Rose asks if it's going to be dangerous, and he's like, yeah. I mean, like it's just so. I just love the sort of the whole spirit of that. Both of us were really just kind of swept away by that smile that he does. Like the first time when he meets a new race, even one that's like like horrifying and disturbing. And that like that beaming smile that he gets, like because he's enjoying himself so much. I'm thinking of like the Dickens episode, especially, right? That was a wonderful Eccleston episode. Yeah, so that's I thought he was so good. I was really disappointed that he only did the one season. I mean, I know somewhat about that, not too much, but anyway, really wish that could have worked out for him to do more. It's my favorite modern companion. Well, Rory Pond is my favorite. I really like Amy Pond, but when Rory comes in too, that's like absolutely I just love the handling of the husband of the companion was really fun. Rory Williams, sort of. No, Rory Pond. I love that scene, right? The ponds, and Rory's like, that's not how it works, and Matt Smith says, yeah, it is. And Rory says, yeah, it is. Exactly. So yeah. Rory Williams, but I call him Rory Pond because that's what the doctor calls him. Okay, there you go. Here's your wolf pelts, my friend. No problem. Now you'll take your prices down, which is great. Who else was I? Oh yeah, you wanted me to do something about the orcs.
What brings you to these lands?
No problem. Now your son over there, your kid can take it easy there. Cut back a little bit. Okay, and then Ulfrith here.
What business have you with the Rohirrim?
Hey, no problem. Get a vector quest from you?
Our success depends upon our strength.
No, there's a serious matter.
You
Okay, several Uruks have been encountered. I noticed several. Southeast across the river. Ooh, is that the camp? Their existence has been a dangerous strain for our merchant camp. These Uruks seem coordinated under some unknown leadership. The captain of the camp guards has been carefully tracking the maneuvers of this force. Okay. Excellent. I was hoping to get sent to that camp.
The Rohirrim will need your aid.
Oh, wait. There's something else, too. One of the merchants in our camp has been missing. Oh, dear. Okay. All right. So we've got a missing merchant. We've got somebody's going to send me down to that orc camp at last. That's great. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to end there because it's getting late. All right. Very good. Well, thanks everybody. I wasn't expecting the Doctor Who chat, but always happy to do that. Hang on, I just want to check my. I want to check my Twitter poll here, see how we're doing. What shows in the lead for tomorrow's discussion? Let's see. Oh man, Game of Thrones is surging. Oh, it's in a close second place now. Babylon 5 was in first for a while. It's fallen into third place. And classic Doctor Who still edging out Game of Thrones. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so I hope to see you guys tomorrow. The whole show, the whole variety show begins at noon Eastern time. So we're going to do the Lotro. I'll do the Lotro segment starting at about 5 Eastern time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll see. Get on my Twitter poll and vote for what show you want to see me discuss tomorrow. And yeah, and don't forget, even if you can't make it to the show, don't forget about our fundraising campaign. Please do consider making a tax-deductible donation to Signum University and help to shape the future of higher education. And of course, not to mention keeping all of our awesome Tolkien and fantasy programming going. So thanks a lot for that. And I will hopefully see some of you guys tomorrow. If not, I won't be here next week, because next week the Lotro team is doing the Extra Life campaign. So I won't be here next week, actually, for 2 weeks, because the week after that I'm going to be away. So the next time I will be back will be November. The next time you will see Gryfflet again will be November 7th. And then he will continue his push through Rohan here towards the end of the year. I wonder how far Gryfflet can get by Christmas time. Probably not that far. Can he finish the Norcrofts by Christmas? Well, we'll see. All right. Thanks, everybody. Druid's Fire is up next, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow. And of course, I should have mentioned, all the stuff tomorrow is going to be on the Signum U channel. So that is twitch.tv/Signum U. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye now. Thanks for joining in on my rambles around Standing Stone's brilliant digital adaptation of Tolkien's world. If you enjoy these adventures, please consider supporting this and other entertaining educational programming by donating at signumuniversity.org/fund.